That's a good lead into our guest tonight. Of course, that's Caitlin Sinclair, who's, I guess, a newer, right, spokesperson for Turning Point. So tell me some of the stuff you're doing with them and some of the stuff you guys are working on.
Yeah, well, first of all, no hand-eye coordination. So separate, definitely separate from Caitlin Clark. So we actually, at Turning Point Action, just launched a new initiative this week. One of our new coalitions, which is the Gen Z Coalition, part of our Chase the Vote operation. So getting out the word, registering voters, recruiting activists, and then chasing ballots. That is what these coalitions are all about. This one particularly touches my heart, and I can relate to, because it is the group that, first of all, I belong to. But second of all, the group, the younger generation that I have been calling the most apathetic, I no longer think that is the case. This young generation, Gen Z, wants a voice, and they want their country back. So this coalition is all about encouraging America First values, the family unit once again, real relationships. We've replaced all of these things with social media, with celebrities, with casual sex. We need to get back to restoring America's values, and it's so beautiful and encouraging to be in a room at Turning Point Action for some of these events with these young people that so badly want to make a difference and want to get involved. So I no longer am labeling them the most apathetic group, because the millennials, the Gen Z, they're angry, right? They realize now that they've been lied to, they've been robbed, they've been stolen from, and they want to take their country back. They need an economy for their future, right? They need somewhere to live. When was the last time, gentlemen, that an entire generation felt like they could not afford to buy a home? Yeah. When was the last time in our country where an entire generation was coming out of college with more degrees on paper, but zero life skills, no coping mechanisms, and really no American dream to look forward to? Yeah. So I'm really excited and encourage our viewers listening and watching tonight to get involved. No matter what state you're in, you can go to our app, which is just TP Action, or turningpoint.com, and find out how you can get involved.
Yeah, I mean, it's great stuff. It's the last part of that you talked about, the chasing ballots, I'm most interested in. Mm-hmm. But you guys see it, obviously, in Turning Point. You see these young kids coming to your events, and obviously you guys are getting to a lot of them, but there's still, you look at college campuses these days, and there's just still so many of these kids, like you said, that are out there that just don't have any idea about the founding of the country, why people think this is the greatest place on earth, what the country's all about. There's so many of them, mostly because the left controls our colleges and universities and businesses and Hollywood and movies and music and everything else. There's still so many of them as you look at what's going on these college campuses, even with this, obviously attack in Israel back in October. There's just so many of them that still don't get it.
Yeah, and that all goes back to messaging, right? I myself was covering some of these rallies as a reporter on the ground, and I would interview some of these students, and they would have signs up that said the most horrendous stuff. They were standing with a group of people that I don't even believe they knew what that group of people stood for. They didn't even know what their own signs meant, some of these protesters at an NYU or Columbia University. So it all goes back to messaging. So with these coalitions and at Turning Point Action, what we're first of all encouraging folks to do is talk to your neighbor, right? Educate each other, make friends, own your streets is a saying that we have over at TPA. Get to know your neighbors and have these conversations. Host a movie night, go for a bike ride, go for a walk, and have these conversations. And that can start at the younger generation, right? So they so badly want to be a part of something. This generation feels like they don't have a voice and they don't belong to either party.
Well, your crowd, the TPUSA, which has been explosive, these people, these students used to come out of college too, with specific degrees, finance, whatever it was, business, and they would be making $70,000, $100,000 a year. That doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
You can't get a great job. You can't keep up with the rent in the big cities. They're definitely facing a problem.
Well, what was Charlie's last book?
Yeah. Don't send your kids to college.
Right.
College is a big fat scam. Right?
You're right about that.
Hey, let me ask you this question, Caitlin, because you said something there that a lot of these kids, and this is something we've talked about here, they just want to be part of something. Do you find that a lot of these kids, they mentioned the ones on the college campuses holding a sign, don't know what it means, don't know who they're standing next to. Do you think that that's part of the problem, is that, you get all these people that are social misfits, basically, that they're not cool enough for this group. They're not athletic enough for that group. They're not pretty enough for that group. They're not enough for this group or that group or whatever. And they just find their way to these mishmash groups of people that don't have their best interests at heart. They just need numbers.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And social media plays a huge role in that, right? And like to David's point, these are our kids, these are my peers and contemporaries that feel deflated. They feel disenfranchised. They cannot afford the American dream. We are not living as well as our parents did. We're going to be the first generation that is not better off than our parents. So there's already this level of depression and anxiety and a degree of just loss of hope, right? So again, they so badly want to be part of something, but by combating that with the right messaging and starting these conversations, I think that's how we can see maybe that lessen a little bit. And when you have an organization or a coalition to belong to, right? We don't just have Gen Z coalition. We have a faith coalition. We have Black America coalition. We have the Moms coalition. So there's other groups to belong to and feel like you're around like-minded people and actually understand what you're standing for, what you're protesting.